Um, the 5 action points to take before the end of 2012. And the idea is to set the stage for success for the final quarter. And it's shocking that we've reached to this time in the year where there's only 4 months left, and there's so much for us to do. But anyway, hopefully we should have a good autumn if we take note of some of the promises that we made at the beginning of the year, for those that were at the Prepared for a Success event. So the first one is to do what you said you were going to do. And this one was based on integrity, making sure that we exercise business integrity. And it was Pastor Jessica Mead, who uh, made this suggestion that we should do what we said we were going to do. And there's many times when there are things that we promise that we're going to do and just don't get around to doing them. So you cannot build a successful business without developing your character.
People will remember your integrity as a business person long after your product has been used, thrown away, or even if they use it continuously. They will remember your integrity. I met Jacqueline here many years ago, and I'm full of ideas. Sometimes I say, Holy Spirit, I want to sleep now. Because I just get all of these ideas and they're just racing around in my head. And one of my faults, one of my character weaknesses, is that I'd start all these different things and I'd get everybody, not that they don't listen to me anymore now, but I'd get everybody excited, everybody on the gravy train, everybody worked up about it, and then I'd start it and not finish it. And then I'll start, can anybody, it's all right, you know, you don't have to, you don't have to, don't take a picture of me doing that. Yeah? But, you know, some of you may be able to identify with that, and your heart's in the right place, and you really believe you've heard from God, you've prayed, you've had countless confirmations, but you don't finish it. Now, and that is one of the things that followed me, but that's not integrity. I hid from Jacqueline for a while. Jacqueline very kindly invited me as a speaker to do poetry at one of her powerful events. And after that, you know, I was in contact with her and I said, you know, I'm doing this. And it didn't happen. And then I met her, or I spoke to her on the phone, and I'll never forget, she said to me, when you say, you know how when you say you're going to do something, you've got to do it. So I thought, oh, I don't want to be it. And the reason why I said that is because you know how we tend to congregate with people that make us feel better, as opposed to people that are speaking life into our lives because it's what we need to hear. And she was one of those people, so I stayed away from her a bit. So anyway, it's interesting because as individuals, as women of God, as people of God, we have a responsibility to have integrity. So one of the things that I believe that we should do, and we still are at the beginning of the year, is one of our goals should be based on character. A lot of our goals are goals that are based on materialistic things, you know, and financial goals and benchmarks. But let's this year look at some character traits. And it's up to you, because that's why I'm saying we've got to look at ourselves in the mirror, because we do know ourselves. We believe our spin, but we do know ourselves. You know, it's not a surprise when somebody comes and says to you, you're too fussy, because really you know. So let's be honest with ourselves and write down some goals. And one of those things for me is, let me do what I say I'm going to do. Amen? It's very, very important. Another of my character goals was learn to say no. Now, that's a big one. That's a big one for me, because you can see I'm not a fearful person. It's not because of fear. In some cases, people don't say yes. Sorry, in some cases, people say no out of fear. For me, it was never out of wanted to do everything. I wanted to be everywhere. So everything going, I'll say, yes, yes. I liked helping. I had compassion for people. If all of you in the room at one stage, I said, oh, can you do this? I'd say, yeah, when? And then what happens? You are but one person. You cannot fulfill that. The thing is that people are left bruised because you've built them up to a level of expectancy and it hasn't happened. What is that? It's a character trait. What is it? Okay. So character traits are crucial. And, I wanted to share that with you because I know for me, I believe that it's something that perhaps has held me back from truly being as successful as God has always planned for me to be. One of the things in the book, which I loved, was begin with the end in mind. And isn't that amazing? Because God says, that He knows the end before the beginning, and your latter will be better than your former. And when I was listening to the tapes, I'm better with tapes than books. When somebody gives me a book, I give it to someone else. I say, read it, put the bullet points down, and then let me have the bullet points. So with tapes, I can absorb them. We all have different learning styles. And the notes that I took were really powerful. Use the end as the criteria by which we imagine everything in our lives. Start with a clear understanding of our destination. That was really important for me because one of the things we do is we tend to tie ourselves to our history instead of our potential. We tie ourselves to our history, and that can sometimes hold us back. So I can say, oh, I'm not going to go forward because the last time I spoke to everybody about that, they heard me talking about it. I didn't do it, so I'm not going to be active again because who's going to listen to me? Nobody's going to believe me. No, we're all on a journey, but we have to tie ourselves to our potential. And one of the things.
Okay. Just to we stopped the video there because I've just it was just a clip that I wanted to show. Rosalind, you're on muted. If you do you have any comments back on what we've just watched?
Yes, I do. I was making notes as she was talking. What jumped out at me was about having a clear vision for our destination and, holding on to it. I mean, we're in nearly in month 9 of the year, and we should really have been keeping a diary of progress and seeing where we were going and have we got there in month 9.
Yeah.
And if we're not doing that, then, we could be so far off track to where we said we would be, So I think it's going back to the drawing board and making sure that the next 2 months we actually do achieve what potentially God has got going for us, or what we should be holding on to. And I think that's important.
Yeah. I think those are very good points that you've made, and which is the whole idea of the webinar, because I think that when September comes, September's almost like a new start to a year. I mean, especially as women, we tend to look at things in that way as the children go back to school. It's a new season, and it's a new season in the year, and it's almost like, a new start. And so it's always a good time for us to start thinking about these things again. And definitely, if we haven't been keeping track over the last 9 months or the last 8 months, we should definitely be looking to step up in that area over the last 4. Yeah. So Brenda, you're unmuted as well. Do you have any comments to make on what Jessica shared?
I think my only comment is really that, I just want to agree with what Rosalind said.
Okay.
Really about keeping some kind of diary or notes on what we've actually achieved throughout the year, because I think it's so easy to become distracted with all our personal issues. I think that's been my problem this year, is like a lot of personal things have gone on for me. And I think, just sitting here and looking at Pastor Jessica Mead and just reading just that one point, do what you said you were going to do, just reminds me that I haven't really done anything I said I was going to do. for the beginning of the year. I've been distracted and I've like started to do and look at other things. So that's like it's really brought that home to me. So I think it really is a good idea to to stay on track, to keep a diary of everything that we know we've made a point of, that we said we're going to do, and make sure that we do stick to that, because it is so easy to become sidetracked.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's my point.
I'm just going to have a look. Can you just let me know if there are any problems as I click on this PowerPoint? Does the screen change?
Yes, it does.
Okay, great. Yes. Because obviously the whole idea of developing building character, as Jessica was saying on the day, is that it develops business integrity, and business integrity is needed in order to develop a customer or people focused business or ministry. And I remember I did edit that bit out, Brenda, but I do remember Jessica kind of singling you out in the crowd because of something you showed, particular aptitudes that you showed, skills and gifts that you have. And she was saying, how important it is for us to have those kind of qualities in our business, because we need to be solution providers. If we can provide solutions for people, then we will never go wrong in business. And that's why we need business integrity, And I know for me personally, it's an area that I would love to, and I need to develop, and I would love to develop in more detail. And I did say to Jessica when she said she was going to be speaking about character, I thought that was a wonderful project to have, to have a goal to develop your character. That's brilliant. Not for you to just pull up with the fact that you've made a mistake here and you've got this weakness and so forth, but always looking to progress. And I think that even if we haven't done it throughout the last 8 months, now is as good a time as any to say to ourselves, okay, I'm going to be focused in the last 4 so that we still finish the year on a high. So scripture tells us, be not conformed to this world, but transformed by the renewing of your mind. And again, that's all to do with, changing the way that we think and not being caught up in old ways of doing things. She did say that we should write a list of the characteristics we want to have, and that these should be based on those that God says we should have. And once we've done that, then we can ask ourselves, how do I match up? Are you seeing the screen okay?
Yes.
So people will always remember your integrity. Good character is a gift that will make room for you. And when I say that, I mean, when you do something good, other people will see, opportunities will come your way, doors will be opened, ways will be made. People will notice you, will identify with you, and you might even, get that, that foot in the door, because you happen to meet that person's need better than anybody else's. And then she said it was sometimes it's better to say no. The scripture that she shared was, so we are Christ's ambassadors, God making his appeal as it were through us. And so we need, as Christ's ambassadors, we need to be good examples, especially in business and as Christians. We're representing him. And I don't know if you remember Jessica sharing, the whole idea of an ambassador is that they take on the character, or the authority of that country, of the sending nation, she was saying. And so when we take on that responsibility, we have to live up to it. It's a tall order, but we have to live up to it. So being an ambassador for Christ has its responsibilities. Begin with the end in mind and believe that you are good enough. So even if you've made a mistake in the past, that doesn't mean that you can't go on. Okay. Now we've come to action point number 2. Can you see this all okay?
Yeah, stop stressing.
All right, stop stressing. Yeah. I've actually got Brenda and Rosalind on unmute, so that when we come to the end of each slide, we can sort of discuss them. And then if anyone else has a point that they want to make, they can put their hands up. So stop stressing. And you've got this volcano sort of like blowing its top, and I guess sometimes we feel like that. We feel really pressured. We feel, really encompassed about with everything that we've got to do. Um, but stop stressing. This is something that came out of the talk that Sherilyn Ramsey did, the story that she shared with us about the experience that she had at the school where she's a head teacher. And she's saying God's got it covered, but at times we can inflate our own sense of importance with the deception that it won't get done unless we do it. So we think that we're better at doing it than God is. So yeah, she's Sherilyn Ramsey. And she shared her story of how God put her in the job. She didn't feel that she was right for it, that she was going up against other head teachers that were better qualified than she was. But God put her in the job, and because He put her in the job, we can be pretty much certain that He will cover her in the job. And that's more or less what her story was about. I'm going to play that video footage now.
Last year that really showed me this, and I'll tell you the way I reacted was not the way I was meant to react. So it was near the end of term. It was the 20th of July, and if you can imagine, it's quite warm at that time. End of term, we're trying to wrap up. We're going to finish on the Friday. There's a graduation for year 6, letters going out, trying to round everything up. The teachers are tired, but we still had a trip on that particular Wednesday. And the year group leader had organised a trip for the children, 120 children, that's one year group, to go to the seaside. And it was Chalk. And we've done this trip on many occasions. She's spoken to the lifeguards for them to accompany the children out onto the mud flats. And they had assured her it would be safe because of the tides, the timing of the tides. And we felt safe in taking this trip. So the children and I arrived at 11:45 at the beach. The lifeguards, and I sent lots of parents as well. So my role in all of this is to check the procedures, make sure that all the risk assessments are in place, etc. I've done all of that. And the children, we sent a ratio of 1 to 3, so we had lots of adults and children. And at 11:45, the lifeguards gave a talk to the children about safety, keeping together, listening, etc. He also said to the whole group, the tide is not due to come in until 4:20. Okay, so they were taken out by the lifeguards about 80, because there were some children who didn't want to, they wanted to stay by the shore. And the idea was that they were going to look at rock pools, they were going to explore nature, look at crabs and all that kind of thing. So they went about a half a mile out from the shore, and while they were out there, the tide started to come in. And they couldn't see it because it came in from the side. So it comes in from the side, and they were half a mile out. And there was a bait digger, a fisherman, who had been collecting his bait, and he thought, wow, it's probably about time the tide might be coming in, so I'm going in. He just happened to turn around and to see a group of children in the distance, or a mass of people in the distance, and thought, what are they doing out there? Do they realise that the tide is coming in? So he decided to call the Coast Guard. So he called the Coast Guard, and another gentleman was looking out of his bedroom window. He lives on the coast, looked out of his bedroom, and also saw the massive children. He went and put his fishing gear up, his boots that came up, and also came out, and thought there is no way that these children or this group of people are going to get back in time before the tide comes in. The other complication is that in order to get across that far out, there was a causeway, and the causeway is a wooden platform, and on either side of the wooden platform is a 6-foot sheer drop. So once the water covers it, you cannot see, or the children will not be able to see where they're putting their feet, and you can't see the edge. Okay, so I believe that God sent those two people, first of all. Okay? The two of them managed to, the water was rising. The first 40 or so children got out quite safely. The others were struggling. The water came up to the children about here. If you can imagine the water swirling, you cannot see the causeway. One fisherman stood at one end of the causeway, the other one stood at the other end, and said to the children and the parents of the children, walk towards me. Don't look to your left or to your right, just walk towards me. And some of them didn't want to put their, because they couldn't see where their feet were going. So I'm going to tell you now that God got everyone out. He got everyone out. He got everyone out. You know, there was, I would say that the children came out of it seemingly unscathed. But there were adults. The adults in charge found it more difficult, and there's still some who are getting counselling even now as I speak, because one in particular dropped off the causeway holding a child, cannot swim, and but the fisherman pulled her out. Wow. Okay, so but she still had nightmares about losing the child. So God got the children out. They came back to school and they told me the story. And instead of me, I did say thank you, Jesus. Thank you for protecting, like you have always done. But my first reaction was guilt. How could I put the children in this danger? It might not seem that I can't describe it, but it was also thinking about what could have happened. So my mind kept replaying what could have happened and the responsibility. And the reason why, as well, why I was in that position was the local authority then needed to do an investigation. When they did the investigation, it came to light that there was a piece of paper that I was meant to fill out, which I didn't know about, and most head teachers in the borough didn't know about, that needed to be filled out, saying that the lifeguards were responsible for the children because they were the water experts. But because that piece of paper was not filled out, that then made me responsible for the lives of those children. Fair enough, but my thought was, if you call yourself a lifeguard and you live in the area, then you should also, there's no other job for you other than to make sure that people are safe near water. So anyway, so that happened. So they found, the findings came out for that. And I sat down and I thought, I could leave it here, but suppose this happens to another group of children. So the local authority were all covering their back. You didn't do this piece of paper and say, but that's nothing to do with us. All the politics that go. That's why you have to have moral fibre, because when people start covering their backs, and you could easily try and do the same, you have to remember, no, that's not what we want you to do. You need to have values. You need to do what God has called you to do.
In about an hour.
Not just to cover your own back and make it easier for you. So what then happened was, I said to the local authority, said, Rob, these are our findings. I think we should leave it there. And I said, no, we're not going to leave it there. We're actually going to find out why this happened. I want the Southend local authority to investigate the lifeguards and their role, so that this never happens again, because it could be that there's other children who are out there. So that opened another can of worms, and all the way through this I'm falling, oh no, job, crying. My reaction was not, God is that, look what God has done. He saved these children, and you know he's got this one. So instead of me doing that and leaning, I was trying to organise, control, feeling emotional, and all the rest. And really, what I needed to do was to sit still and say, God has showed you already. Believe what he has shown you. And I think one of the messages I want to give you today is that there's always the signs that God has worked things out.
Okay. That was our second video clip. I just want to welcome those that have arrived since we began the webinar. We've already watched the first clip and seen that the first action point was to do what we said we were going to do. And we've got 4 months of the year left to make up for anything that we haven't done, that we did promise ourselves that we would do at the beginning of the year. So with this, number 2, stop stressing. And this story, for those that were at the Prepared for Success event in January, was really quite moving when we heard Sherlyn share her account here. And she's just said there that there's always a sign that God has worked things out. And yet still we always get into that panic mode and worrying about things. And, and often our worry comes after God has already worked things out. And so Sherlyn's story is a wonderful reminder as we go into the final quarter of 2002, that there are lots of things that God will have worked out for us already. He is going ahead of us, and that we should, try to avoid wasting time stressing over stuff that God's sorted out already. So just before I, bring this this particular one to a close, I'm going to give the attendees the opportunity to make a comment, any thoughts, any notes, anything that you want to share with everyone today. You can put your hand up. There's a little symbol there that that you can put your hand up, and I can unmute you. But I'm just going to ask Rosalind to share any thoughts that she's had on the video so far. Rosalind?
Hi, yes. I just wanted you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Hello.
I think everyone can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Do you know what I really wanted? I wanted her to follow on and carry on what she was saying, because she was summing it up then about God always showing signs that He's actually done it already.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's important,
Yeah.
that her first reaction was to panic and then to try and fix things herself. And I just believe that there are serious signs that we have to be in tune with to say that we have to not worry about things that are going wrong and things that just look bleak, or things, or where we feel that we shouldn't be doing certain things. God's put you in the position to do it, so we should just really get on and do it, and not worry about it, and not stress about why we feel we're inequipped or ill-equipped or don't have the right skills. I think it's more important just to focus on the job that God has given us to do.
I think that you're right. I mean, unfortunately, because we've got a few clips, I had a few clips that I wanted to share today, and the time is already racing away. I had to edit them down so that we can just look at short clips. But I think that what she was saying is that, she panicked after all the children were rescued. So I think, as you're saying there, that God's already gone ahead of us, and actually, by the time we start stressing and panicking over things, God's already sorted it out, and it's just for us to come to that place where we just trust Him. We really do trust Him, that He's got our back, and He's already gone ahead of us, and He's working everything out. And it's just a reminder for us to keep that in mind over the final quarter of the year. Okay. If anyone else has a point that they want to make, you can put your hand up, and I'll unmute you. Otherwise, I'm going to move on with the point, the PowerPoint. Let me know if you do have a problem with looking at the screen, because we did have some teething problems earlier on. Our emotions is what prevents us from seeing things clearly. And when you are panicking and you're stressed about stuff, you do tend to not be able to focus or to even hear what God is saying. And then our need to control things also prevents us from trusting God. We always like to be many women like to be in control. She reminded us that we don't have to try to organize everything. We don't have to try to be in charge all the time. We just need to hand things over to God. And that's what you were saying, Rosalind. So the scripture that she shared was, God is my strength and power, and He maketh my way perfect. He maketh my feet like hinds feet, and setteth me upon my high places. God is working it all out for us and enabling us to do things that we in ourselves could never do, couldn't do by ourselves. The point number 3 is don't give up. Don't give up. So no matter how bleak things look, that we should continue going on. The video clip that I had for this one, I didn't download it, so I'm going to skip. I could play it, but I'm going to skip past it because of time. But this was one that Jacqueline shared. She was saying that, you know, we've got a dream, we've got a vision, we've got a business idea. There's something that we've determined that we're going to do. We're convinced that God has given it to us, and we shouldn't give up. Someone needs what we have, and we need to learn to fight to hold on to our dreams. If we're certain that God has given it to us, we really need to fight to hold on to it. Something is it's in our hearts, and we can't let it go. So if God has given us something, then we should hold on to it, because someone needs it, not wants, but needs what we have. It's the point that she was making. And she shared a story about the Wholeness Academy, which is a company that she launched last year. And in April last year, she was ready to shut down her business because things weren't going the way that she wanted it to go. Everything was really hard and difficult. And you know, she said that she had given God her P45, so to speak. And then in October of that year, the Wholeness Academy was born, and that came out of the business, the ministry that she already had. So, you know, sometimes when it looks like, you know, there's nothing left and, you know, everything's dead, and it's the story of Jesus, really. It looked like everything's dead. And at that moment, things are resurrected. Things are, God brings something out of nothing. So we shouldn't give up. We should try to hold on. Number 4 is let go. And there, you know, there's a kind of like contrast between don't give up and to let go. But then there are times when there are things that we know that we do need to let go of. We should be afraid to let go of those kind of things. Losing to gain is one of the most difficult and yet important lessons that we can learn. It's a, you know, again, a paradox, but you die to self, you find your life, as the Bible tells us. And I'm going to play this clip that shows Jacqueline talking about this particular point that she made during the event.
Third thing I wanted to share that I learned last year is don't be afraid to let go. Seems funny, doesn't it? On one hand, I'm saying don't give up. But on the other hand, I'm saying don't be afraid to let go. What do I mean by that? Sometimes you need to streamline. Last year, when I went through that, by setting up the Wholeness Academy, things became, I had to drop some things, put some things in, and make it streamlined. There may be some things that God is saying, this is for now. Focus on this. Get this. And then later I will add to you. Does that make sense? Because we've got the vision. If you're like me, I'm a bit of a peeler. I hear it. Oh, yeah. I hear that. Oh, yeah. And the people that are working with me are like, oh, yeah. Listen, Tina raising your hand too high. He was like, yeah. But focus is Wholeness Academy. That's what it is. That was the last message I received. I will continue to focus. I will continue. So you're going to hear, you're going to see. And so how much more time I hear? But it's about what you said, Jessica. Character and integrity. Can I tell you, it hurts when I see our leaders. The one leader that I don't know why I don't know the man, Zachary Tibbs. When I saw him, he was an American evangelist preacher. Something really gripped me in my spirit. He died in a hotel room, surrounded by drugs, pills. Was caught with a prostitute, all of this stuff. I'm not saying it to judge the man, but I'm just saying, where was the place where he could have gone to and say, you know what, I have an issue? Yes. Confidentially talking now. Not be your next pulpit message me outside. Confidential. Purpose Academy is all about teaching people, equipping people with the skills to live a life of wholeness. That's knowing who you are. That's walking in integrity. That's a consistency of value. That's walking the talk. That's consistent actions. It's just, I'm excited! Oh, hallelujah! Woo! Woo! She's moving up now. Hallelujah! Why not say, don't be afraid to let go? Can I tell you something? As a woman in particular, we hold on to stuff. Yes. We can hold on to the stuff. I'm just saying, if you're married, this isn't for you, but I'm just talking about. Even if you're married. I remember when I was in the world and I was dating a guy and I was so happy that I was his number one girl. He had the number 2 on my tree. I was happy. I'm number one. That made no sense, does it? Yeah, because we have this thing, because we carry stuff, we carry children, we have this form, so we hold stuff. Yeah. We can listen. I can be known. Yes. Just not watching a TV program, saying this is not all that rubbish. I watch it to the end. And then when I get to the end, I say, what's that all that rubbish? Because we're committed. You know what I'm saying? We are committed. And that is something that is of value to us, but we also need to know that it's okay. Don't be afraid to let go of some stuff. It's not that you failed. If you don't do this week or don't do this on the part of the program next year, put it on for your program next year. It doesn't have to be done now. It doesn't have to be done this half of the quarter. It could be done the next half. I want to encourage you. These are my 3 things for the evening. Number 1, don't give up. Number 3, but it became my number 2. Don't forget your first love. So, and number 3, exactly, learn to let go. Don't be afraid to let go. Streamline some stuff. Everybody's talking about streamlining. Don't forget. Don't forget. And I just want to leave a scripture as I take my seat. And it's from where's it from again now? Yeah, it's from 1 Corinthians, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 40, where is it? Verse 57 to 58. It's really 58, but I'm going to read 57. It says, but thanks be to God who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor is not in vain.
Okay. That was our, well, it was actually the final clip because I don't have any one for the last action point. But with this one, it's about letting go. It's about getting rid of those things that we know is holding us down, holding us back, the rubbish that we need to get out of the way. Just sort of like discerning between the things that we do need to hold on to and the things that we need to let go. And sometimes we do know the things that we need to get rid of, as Jacqueline was sharing there with some sort of like harmful things. I mean, she was sort of like talking about the extreme, about like watching a program when you know that it's rubbish or it's not going to benefit you at all, or being in an abusive relationship. That's really extreme. But there may be things that we're doing in our business, things that we're trying to put into place, and maybe they're not for now. Maybe they are for the new year or for 6 months. Maybe there's something that we need to start with first, and then to move on to that next stage, instead of trying to do everything all at once. Because we know that when we try to do everything all at once, we end up getting nothing done at all. So I think that those were the main points to come out of action point number 4, and let go. Just deciding what it is that we need to let go. Are there any comments? Any thoughts? Anyone wants to share? What are your thoughts, Rosalind?
Hi.
Hi.
I didn't mean. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hi. My notes it's just about letting go to get there, because it's about leaving the baggage. of negativity, leaving the baggage of old habits behind because they are what is holding us up in business. We need to just put them aside, and even when we're telling ourselves, oh, this is really hard, or oh, this is really difficult, or oh, I can't get this done, we just need to rise above our own, what we're hearing in our brain, really, and just do it. You know, stop telling yourself, or you can't do it. Start telling yourself, I can do it, and I'm going to do it. You know, it's about changing your mindset. And I think that is really, really important.
I think that what I found really helpful when I look at this is because I can identify, where she is saying that she decides, she gets an idea and it's like organizing everyone and saying, right, we're going to go with this and we're going to go with that. And I can identify with that life would be a lot easier if I could just I could just sort of like be a bit more strategic in planning things and say, okay, this is for now, and I'm going to focus exclusively on this now, and that's for then, and I'm going to focus exclusively on that then. And I think that when you kind of like approach work in that way, it obviously gets rid of a lot of stress, and you end up getting the things done that you need to get done. So I think that was a really valid point. And as we go into the final quarter of 2012, if there is anything in our business, in our ministry, in our lives that we do need to put aside, now is the time for us to do it, rather than thinking that we can do everything at once. Once again, the airways are open. If you have any questions, just put your hand up. If you want to make a comment, just put your hand up, and then I'll unmute you. Just to summarize this, she talked about streamlining actions and tasks, decide what is for now and what you will do later, letting go of stuff that's holding you back, that's weighing you down. The paradox is that when we die to self, we will find ourselves. So when we let go of stuff, God will catch it. And I think that this is quite reassuring, in case we're scared to let go of things, in case we make a mistake. And sometimes that's the reason why we don't want to let go of things, just in case we get it wrong. But if we let go of things, we should trust God that He will bring it to pass, that He will sort it all out and catch whatever it is that we've dropped. Okay, Brenda, you've got your hand up. Go ahead. Hello, Brenda. We can't hear Brenda. She's got her hands up, but you can speak whenever you're
Sorry,
ready.
I was muted.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm here. You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, it was just to add to what Rosalind was saying with letting go. That I think sometimes it's that things are like our past failures can tend to make us be negative and to kind of stunts us into moving forward and taking on new things. And I think it's that we have to trust God in new things, especially when we know when you're getting everything, all the indications from Him that He's telling you to go in a certain direction and do a certain thing, and everything is lining up with His word. But because of your own past failures, it's making you feel, you're feeling like you're stunting yourself, and you just find you can't move forward. And I think it's just a good thing to hold on to His word, and just to remember that His mercies are new every day. We have to remember that, with every day God brings us new things to do, along with new creative thoughts and creative ideas to think. And it's just reminding us that, He's always there, that He never leaves us on our own to do anything. So it's that, I think that, with that letting go and moving forward, not giving up, we have to be able to lay the past down and just take those failures and just put them away in a place where, we're not going to keep taking them and dragging them out and making them stunt us and stop us from moving forward.
And I think those are really good points, especially when you talk about past failures. And it was the one that Jessica picked up in action point number 1. And she talked about beginning with the end in mind, and not allowing the past things that we've done, the mistakes that we've done, to hold us back. And she was talking in particular with integrity. If you tell someone that I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, and you don't do it, you don't get around to do it, especially if you've done that a few times, you might just give up. You might just say, you know what, I'm just not even going to bother because no one believes you anyway. And she was saying not to allow that to get into the way to trip us up. And we do need to put those things behind us, to wipe the slate clean and to get up and to go again. And I think the scripture that you shared, Brenda, is a really good one about God's mercies being new every morning. You can't get a better start than that. Every day you get up, it's new. The slate is clean, and we can go on. So thank you for that. I think that was really encouraging. So number 5 is the last one that we're going to look at this evening, and it's about making your mark in the right place. And it was the action point that I shared on the day, and I really want to incorporate into this one, making your mark in the right place, and using that to also make sure that we put God first in all that we do. So it's a reminder to focus on our own jobs rather than someone else's, and just to make sure that we put God first in what it is that we do. So it's about staying connected to God and making sure that we take that time out first. Jacqueline spoke about that, how important it is for us to not to leave God out of the picture. She said it's harder for the rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. And why is that? And it's because we get so bogged down with business. We get so bogged down with making, the bottom, looking at the bottom line. We get so bogged down with all of these things, and it can end up making us forget to pray, or even if we don't forget to pray, to be a little bit economical on the time that we spend with God. And that's definitely a no-no. There's no way that we can hear what God is saying to us if we're not spending the time with God in prayer, in the word, fellowshipping, and all of those things, as much as it might look like we don't have the time to do those things. And so for that reason, we need to make sure that we put God first in everything that it is that we do. This prayer, Lord, I want to make my mark on the world. And I don't know if you remember, some of you remember me sharing that on the day. It was like a cry of desperation one day because things weren't going the way that I'd like them to go. I didn't feel like I was making the progress that I wanted to make. And I said to the Lord, God, I just want things to move forward. I just want things to happen. Lord, I want to make my mark. I want to make my mark on the world. And God's response was, why do you want to make your mark on a world that is passing away? And it really made me stop and think just about how I spend my time. And that's what God was saying to me at that time. He said to me, Denise, let me show you how to make good decisions about what it is that you do with your time. How do you decide that you're giving your time into the right areas in the right proportion and so forth? And it is about looking at what is relevant, the temporary versus the eternal. Weighing those things up in that area, because what does it profit us to gain the world and to lose our souls? And I was saying that when Jesus came, he came and he did the work that he needed to do, and he left, and he still left people dead, and he still left people sick, and he still left people lost and in all kinds of situation. And yet still he said, I have done the work that you sent me to do. And when I think about this, it just takes a lot of stress off my head. The fact that Jesus did the work that he was sent to do, even though there was still work left to do. And the point that he was making is that you can do whatever you like. He could have done anything that he liked, but all that was important was for him to do what he was sent to do what his calling was, to complete the work that he was given to do. And I think that this should be a reminder for us as we go into this final quarter, not to take on things that we shouldn't be taking on, not to get involved in things that we shouldn't be getting involved in, not to become distracted, but to be really clear, really focused on what it is that we've said that we're going to do, what he's called us to do. So the most important thing is that we do the work that we've been sent to do, that God has sent us to do. Um, that's action point number 5. And so before I move on with, I'm going to summarize all 5 of the points that we've gone through. Now's your opportunity. If you've got any comments to make on this one, you can share that now. For some reason, Brenda, your hand on the thing is still up. Did you have something that you wanted to say? Hello? Maybe it takes a little while for the unmute to go across. Brenda, did you have something that you wanted to say? Okay, Brenda's silent. Rosalind? Okay, let me summarize.
Hi, I'm just waiting for you.
Sorry?
I'm just waiting for you to summarize.
Okay, that's fine. We got to that screen. The 5 actions to take.
So this is...
Were you saying something, Brenda? Maybe the sound's gone funny. I'm not quite sure what happened there.
Oh,
I can hear you.
Sorry, no, I was just saying, no, I didn't. Right now.
Okay. That's fine. Okay. The 5 actions to take before the end of 2012. To do what you said you were going to do, and that's really based on integrity. So whatever it was that we said we were going to do at the beginning of 2012, now's the time for us to revisit that, and over the next 4 months, for us to put those in place, to action those things. Stop stressing and know that God's got it covered. That's an encouragement to us that God's already gone ahead of us. He's got everything under control. And before we even cry, as the Lord says, before they cry, I will answer. And we have to have that trust and that confidence that He's already answered us. Don't give up. Someone needs what you have. So if you've got a vision in your heart, something that is laid upon your heart that you're determined to do, God's given it to you to do in this last 4 months, really move with it, really push it forward, really go at it with all of your strength, and not to give up, because somebody is waiting for what you have. And number 4, don't be afraid to let go. Just have a look around and, just assess things. And, more than likely we will know what areas there are in our lives that we need to really get rid of, the things that we need to clear out, things that we need to put off for later on, and things that we just need to just let it go completely. And over this next 4 months, in fact, I'd say in September, before the 4 months is up, for us to make that decision on the things that we're going to let go of and the things that we're going to definitely push forward with, and to make our mark in the right place, to focus on the work that we've been given to do. Stop trying to do someone else's job. Stop trying to do other people's work, and take a leaf out of Jesus's book. Very those are the 5 points that we need to put before us to set the stage for progress for the last quarter of 2012. And I say with God at its center, because there's so much stuff that we could do. There's loads of things that we could get on with, and we could get lost in and buried with. But the most important thing is that we're doing whatever it is that we're doing. God is in the midst of it. We know that if we put God first, He will direct our footsteps and we won't go wrong. So that's it, really. And you can see the last screen here is just to let attendees know about the event that we're planning for Friday, the 5th of October. And this is going to be our first full day event. It'll take place from 10 till 4. And the title is A 360-Degree Look at the Businesswoman in Me. And you might be able to see on the left-hand side there, it's about inner you. So about wholeness, about your confidence, about integrity again, about your dreams. It's focusing on where those things come from, and just making sure that you feel strong, you feel encouraged, you feel that you can really pursue the dreams from inside, you're feeling confident about those things. Then outer you is focusing on your body language, your dress as a businesswoman, the image that you present to the world, you know, what it is that people see when they look at you, how do they kind of sum you up. And I know that there is this thing about not really caring about what other people think, but when we're in business, in ministry, we do have to present ourselves to the world in the kind of right way. We do need to think about our image. And the last bullet point at the bottom, I don't know if you can see because it's white on the screen there, is brand you, and that sums up the whole of the event, which is about you as a brand, you as the business person, because when people buy into your business, what they're really doing is buying into you as a person. So that's our event on Friday, the 5th of October, and I will be sending out some information about it, so people can register on the website. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending this evening. I hope that you found the points that we shared, the 5 points that we shared today, useful. I hope that you're looking forward to the last quarter in really pushing forward with your vision, with your goals, and being encouraged to know that you can achieve much more, even in these last few months of the year, and even if you don't feel that you've done what you should have done in the 8 or so that have gone. So thank you very much. Do we have any questions, any comments before we close? Okay, no comments and no questions. Brenda, okay. Brenda's put her hand up. Okay, Brenda, when you're ready, you can go ahead.
Hi, yes, can you hear me? Go ahead. Hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes, we can hear you. Okay, sorry. Can. Yeah, no, I just wanted to thank you because I think that I think tonight was important. It was important to look back at the last 6 months and to see what progress we made, and really just to bring us, back in line. I think I've really found tonight useful. I think it just shows you that with everything that you need to stay close to God so that He can deal with you on everything, every angle, every aspect of your life. Yeah. Not just all the spiritual things, but indeed your business or ministry. And I think for me, I think it's just been really useful just to go over those points again. And so now I know that for the next 4 months, was it 6 months? I don't remember where we are in the month. But up from now until the end of the year, I'm really gonna make a point of putting those points to use and making them work for me. So really that's what I wanted to say, is that I'm gonna make sure I use the points and stick to and make them work for me from now until the end of this year. So that I do have something that I can look back and see my achievements for the end of this year. So thank you.
That's great, Brenda. Thanks very much for that. And as you were speaking, I'm thinking about, as you say, about the importance of looking back, reviewing the year, and how great it is to review the year before the year is finished, so that we don't feel that we've run out of time. We get to December and we just feel, I really didn't achieve the things that I wanted to achieve this year. So I think that those are a really good reminder and encouragement for us. So thank you, Brenda, for sharing that with us. Okay, if there's no other comments and or questions or so forth, then I'll close the webinar. Thank you all very much for attending, for taking the time out to attend. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
see what happens from here. I'm really sorry about that.